G'day watchers, welcome back to the channel. Today what I have here is indeed a Tag Heuer. I don't have the box for this because this is essentially on loan from my good friend, a longtime friend Roger, who made this watch available for me to take a look at. So it is a little bit of a blast from the past because this is by no means a current model. So a little bit about the Link. The Link series began life in the 1980s, really, as the SEL range or the Sports Elegant range. I'm not sure how you really say SEL. And then eventually it was rebranded to Link in 1999 in reference to the iconic S-Link type of bracelet that has been the hallmark of this watch series ever since. And they have had several generations since 1999. In fact, I think 5. This one is actually a second generation model released in 2004. So what we have here today is the Tag Heuer Link Caliber 16, the full model number CJF2110 BA0576, all down the bottom of the screen here, and of course links to products which I can find down the bottom. I think all of them are essentially just links without stock, but if I find any in stock, I'll let you guys know. So it's obviously a rather iconic type of watch, particularly with regards to the bracelet design. The MSRP originally, as far as I gather, was 3,400 USD. On sale, typically, I think you kind of can get it for around 2,005. I'm not really sure anymore, but I think that's a realistic discount you can get on Tag Heuer. So let's just talk about the movement in here, which you can see is indeed caliber 16. This is none other than an Etta Valjoux 7750. I haven't reviewed a Valjoux 7750 for quite a while now. In fact, I can't remember the last Valjoux 7750 watch I reviewed, but I'll link it up the top here if I can find it. All the stats down the left of screen there. In this case, it's only got a date in the window that you can see in the 3 o'clock position there. So black writing on white disc. It doesn't have the day that some Cal 16 models might have. Manual winding, of course, with hacking for the movement. In this case, it's got the 3 sub-registers in the usual positions, no alterations. So small seconds at 9 o'clock with the minute totalizer at 12 and the hour totalizer at 6. Rated accuracy by Tag Heuer, typically you can see on the left there. In actual use, this particular watch remains very well regulated. I'm very pleased with the accuracy of this one, running at +4 seconds per day in the week or so that I've been wearing this around. Okay, let's talk about the case then. The case itself, this one is a 42mm case. The bezel is slightly narrower, so hopefully you can appreciate there's a slight narrowing of the bezel there, which measures around 41mm on calipers. 316L steel, of course, you're not going to expect something different to that. And the thickness here, 15.5 to the top of the crystal there, 15.5 millimeters. The lug width, it's 21 millimeters between the lugs, and the bracelet does actually taper to 18 millimeters at the narrowest portion here. So 21 to 18. This one is so iconic and so, I guess, integrated to the design of the case that, even if you can take out this bracelet, I guess you wouldn't want to because it's just so much a part of the case. And therefore, I don't mind that it's at odd 21 millimeter width here. Overall weight of this watch, 178 grams on the wrist with a few links removed. So it's pretty substantial. It's not a light watch by any means. You're not going to forget this is on your wrist, particularly with that significant thickness there. Finishing wise, so finishing, you're getting circular brushing on the bezel. Just to note, it's completely brushed, this particular watch, right? Newer models have polish, but this one's completely brushed. Longitudinal brushing on the top surface of the lugs there, including the links there. And then it transitions onto horizontal, or I guess it's still longitudinal brushing on the side there. The bottom is actually circular brushing all the way, except for the center of the case back, which becomes a radial type of brushing or radial lines on the center of that engraved case back with Tag Heuer, you can see there. So the case back's pretty solid, pretty thick metal there. It's screw down case back, of course, with a screw down, sign crown. It's pretty nicely signed. The water rating of this watch, as with a lot of Link and chronographs that they make is 200 meters, right? Tag Heuer do tend to go for at least that for many of their sports watches. Okay, moving on to the dial now. The dial here is black with some texture, so that the middle part of the watch there's linear texture in there. It's very difficult for me to show you, I think, in the camera and in the macro shots here, but it does have 4 quadrants with 45-degree linear textures going out from the middle. The subdials, the 3, 6, and 9 subdials or sub-registers do have circular azurage kind of texture on them. And then the periphery, where the hour indices are, as well as the tachymeter flange, is kind of more of a matte black. The wordings on the dial are all printed, right? All the wordings on the, the brand, the Link, Cal 16, the numbers on the subdials, as well as the tachymeter flange are all printed, as is the chapter ring, which is divided into, I think 1/4 of a second, which is appropriate given the frequency of this watch. It does have polished applied indices as well as polished hands, simple pointers for the sub-registers, as well as the central seconds, except the central seconds does, of course, have a significant counterbalance, as you would appreciate. I'm just going to start the counter now for you so you can see it counting for the rest of the review. Okay, right, that's how it feels, right? It's fairly typical. You can't operate it. There's no quick return. You're going to stop it and start it again, reset it, right? That's how the Valjoux 7750 works. I'm sure a lot of you already know how this chronograph works. Loom-wise, okay, the loom is present on the hour and minute hands, as well as 12 indice positions on the main dial only. So the chronograph doesn't function in the dark, or at least you can't read the chronograph in the dark. Bezel-wise, surrounding the dial, right, you've seen that. It's a fixed polished steel bezel, and then on top of the dial is a domed sapphire crystal, double domed, so not too much distortion when you go on the side there. All right, so the bracelet, the iconic bracelet, possibly the most recognizable part of this entire watch here. So, it's brushed, it's solid steel, it's got that proprietary link as well as those end links there. Yes, it does have solid ends, but I'm not sure whether that really means much in a link watch. It's kind of has to be solid in the way it attaches. I think I'm not sure you can achieve that any other way. One thing I will note though is that the Link watches do have a bit of a special adjustment mechanism. You do have to get a tool, and if I can show you, see those little circles there on the underside of the bracelet. You do have to kind of operate that to take this bracelet apart. It doesn't have the typical push pin or screws on the side. You can see it's all hidden. So that's something rather special about the Link bracelets as well. If you know anything about this and how you can actually adjust this, you do need a tool to take it apart. So that's an interesting thing and a point about this bracelet, and what, I guess, another additional thing that makes this somewhat special. The clasp itself, right, very solid deploying arms. It is actually only friction in there, but it's kind of like integrated on the surface of the watch here, with only this keeper to break it apart there, and that's kind of more pressed metal with a kind of embossed signage there for the Tag Heuer logo. All right, so that's really the description of the entire watch and that rather special bracelet. So let's just snap it on for the wrist to show you guys now. Okay. Very quick, and there we go, the Tag Heuer Caliber 16 Link on my 17 centimeter wrist. So remember, this is a 42 millimeter case there at 15.5 millimeters high. And there we go, that very pretty, very comfortable, I say, very comfortable Link bracelet despite the weight of this watch. This has been a pleasure to wear over this week, I have to say. Okay guys, so that's the entire description and wrist shot. What have I enjoyed about this? Well, what can I say about the iconic Link? Well, I think this bracelet design is really quite something. It's something that I keep looking at. The photography kind of draws your eye here, and I want to take photos of this specifically. And as I mentioned, it is actually quite a comfortable bracelet despite the weight of the bracelet with the watch. They've achieved something quite special with this particular bracelet, possibly one of Tag Heuer's most famous works or designs that have come up in the last 3 decades. Overall, I like that it's actually quite subtle for a sport to watch. They've gone for brush finishing, so there's no bling here. They don't have a tachymeter or numbers on the outside bezel. It's all inside there. And the numbering is pretty quiet. So I like that it's subtle, and I think it kind of really lives up to the original SEL, right? Sports elegance is what that was supposed to be. And I think this kind of fulfills that type of modus operandi or goal. The things I would say of concern, or things that might put people off. No, so the bracelet, whilst this is special, this is still a little bit of a part that adds a bit of cheapness, right? That push pin there. Everything else is very solid. That is the only part I will complain about. I'm not sure if they have updated it for newer models, but I think they can actually make a more solid connection here apart from that bit, right? There's a very slight kind of red mark out of the whole watch there. There's no easy micro adjustment, so that's one of the things that people do say about link watches, right? There's no smaller links, so if you happen to be just in between the link sizes, this can be irritatingly tight or irritatingly loose for you. That's something that other people have pointed about the link watches and link bracelets. The chronograph, I would say, to note as well what I said before, it's non-functional in the dark. Some newer Tag Heuers do have lume on the hand so that you can still use it. This one you can't use it, so that may be of concern to some people. And then overall, I would say this dial, despite the fact that it's got white on black and polished steel elements, it's kind of still somewhat low contrast, and that may be because the anti-reflective treatment is not fantastic on the crystal there, and there's not a thick line, so sometimes it's not really the easiest watch to read. I guess if it's bright light, you're not going to struggle, but I think sometimes in low light conditions I do kind of have to glance at this a little bit more to read the time. That's just my own experience of this. And then lastly, I'll say about the 750 movement. It's ever present, it's ever thick and heavy, right? Those tend to be Valjoux 750 watches. And it's not a special movement, right? You're not buying this for exclusivity. And at 2,500 acquisition price, I think it's fair enough. You're not going to get just about any watch. I don't think you can get any Swiss in-house caliber chronograph for that price. So that's fair enough. That's the 750. At least most of the time it was ETA at this stage rather than Sellita. Overall, it remains chunky, but that's what you can get with this movement. So guys, there we go. That's my thoughts, my review of this Tag Heuer Link Caliber 16. Little bit of a blast from the past, 2004 model. Let me know your thoughts about this if you have any models from this era, or in fact, if you have any of the new ones, would love to hear your thoughts about whether any of it was better. Guys, if you enjoyed my videos, do consider subscribing. New content every week, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys next time.